You're one of the best people I know to talk about tracking the ROI of automations in depth. So tell us a bit about yourself. What do you do? What's your story?
Sure. Yeah. Sorry. I was trying to fix the audio and I ended up I joined myself. So anyway, I was getting like two feeds of audio.
Oh, that's
Um,
fun.
better than no feeds of audio.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a little bit about myself. I think I have my professional goal on here somewhere, but anyway, I've been working with Automation Anywhere, RPA. Um, shoot, probably for the last 8 years or so. It started back on version 10. So I worked in a number of roles as like an analyst, developer, um, platform lead, and now as a solutions architect for our hyper automation space at TriNet.
Awesome. And then what has been one of your goals for 2025?
Yeah. So one of my goals is in like yeah, getting all the information and keeping up to date with this ever evolving space. It's like I don't know what the saying is, but when you have like a huge pipe, you're trying to suck in all the information. Anyway, so I'm trying to keep up in this ever changing space and to make sure that I'm able to keep providing scalable and useful solutions for our customers.
Awesome. Thank you. I did just find out that I was talking for 5 minutes and nobody heard me. So I'm going to do just a quick overview of what I said. So just some quick tips for you. I do want to touch on the chat sections that we have available. So send your questions to the speakers at the top. It says ask the speaker. Those will go directly to them. And then you can feel free to chat amongst each other in the join the conversation box below it. I do want to add that now is a great time to network. So why doesn't everyone put in where they're joining from? And if you'd like, share your LinkedIn URL in the chat. I personally live by the rule of never miss an opportunity to connect, says the most introverted person ever, but I digress. While you are doing that, I do need to throw the safe harbor disclaimer on stage. So we're incredibly excited about these possibilities, but I do want to remind everyone that actual development and release timing, of course, remains at Automations Anywhere discretion. Think of this session as a glimpse into our thinking and where we see agentic process automation headed. So we did just get to meet Eric. Let's see. Arun, can you speak? All right. So Eric, before we get started, we're trying to figure out Arun's audio, but I think we can go ahead and launch the first poll question in the community. So I am going to launch this. Again, our goal here is automation ROI tracking. So let's go ahead and get a pulse check. What is your organization's biggest challenge in tracking the impact of automation projects? We have lack of standardized metrics, difficulty consolidating data from multiple sources, limited visibility into ROI, and insufficient tools or technology. Go ahead, cast your vote. We want to hear from you. All right, we still have some stuff coming in. All right, I'm going to close the poll now and present the results. So one of the biggest challenges is lack of standardized metrics. Perfect. This is definitely the session for you. Next up is limited visibility into ROI, then difficulty consolidating. So great. With that, I am going to go ahead and bring on the slide deck and we can get started. Eric, over to you.
All right. Oh, I can control the slides. Hey, Arun, is your audio up?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yay! Yes, we can.
Nice.
I'm leaving now.
All right. Okay. I suppose I should have been on stage for speaking. Anyway. All right. Sorry, I really didn't hear what was spoken so far. But yeah. Hey folks, good day. I'm Arun. I'm a principal here at the Enterprise Cloud Product Team at Automation Anywhere. I've been here for a little over 5 years, and other than owning the product strategy and roadmap for CRM Manager, I also own many cloud initiatives across the organization. So that's me. I'm pretty excited to show you today what CRM Manager is all about for those who are not aware of it as yet, and essentially how it will bring value to you and your organization. So I'll just read the tagline here for you. Imagine having the ability to systematically identify, qualify, prioritize, and track your AI-based automations. So this ability is what's going to bring, is going to be brought in by CMAN, right? Okay, so let's move on. Lou, next slide, please. And one more. All right. So just to set the stage here, why do we need pipeline management, right? Or pipeline management or ROI tracking, essentially. Now, you've invested in automation, you've invested time, money, and effort into creating your bots and executing them and maintaining them on a daily basis, right? Now, what I've seen, and this is something that was initially during the inception of CRM Manager as an idea, is that previously our customers and in fact our sales as well used to be able to show returns on investment for customers using Excel sheets, saying that, okay, you've invested this much in licenses, these many people were doing these tasks before, and here's how much you're saving, right? But then this is obviously error prone. It's not straightforward. You need to have a lot of variables to be considered during those calculations, and hence then the whole idea or the whole concept for the CRM Manager came up, right? So okay, I'll do that. Thanks. So essentially, to illustrate the ROI, when you do this in a systematic approach, you'll be able to roll up reports to your leadership saying that, okay, we've invested these many dollars into automation, and here are the returns month on month, quarter on quarter, and essentially you are telling them the story that this is essentially how we're able to see returns on these investments that we've made, right? And then that essentially encourages you to go and convince your management to go and essentially invest more into automation, and so that they see that there's further scope for automation. So I'll move on. So CRM Manager's vision was, like I said earlier, it is to provide a systematic ability to identify, qualify, prioritize, and track AI-based automations. And how we do this? Well, the mission statement is as this. I'll just read out for you. Every investment needs meaningful ROI tracking. The mission of CRM Manager is to be a single source of truth for all your automation programs deployed within your environment. This empowers your organization to truly realize the potential of all your automation programs to scale further for growth. Now, when we say all your automation programs, this is not limited to Automation Anywhere's automations. That is not just A360 automations. Even if you have other automation vendors out there in your estate, where you use either UiPath or Blue Prism or Power Automate, CEO Manager can integrate to those systems as well and track the ROI for you in real time. So it's not just our own platform that you'll be able to integrate to. Right? So, so what does it really do? This is not a typical analytics tool. This is not a typical operational dashboard sort of a tool, or this is not a typical SolarWinds essentially, right? So here, what you essentially get is you get financial metrics, yeah, and you also get business KPI tracking. So, and let's take that one by one, right? So when you say financial metrics, you can key in for each automation that you do, whether it's an individual task or it's an end-to-end process automation that you do. You can essentially key in the details about what's the current state of manual labor that's going into completing those tasks. That is, how many people are working on it, what percentage of the entire process is automated, and so on. There's many other details that you can key in. And based on this, you get thrown a forecasted savings value for the year, saying that this is what we forecast you will save if you automate this opportunity or this idea. Now, once you do that, moving on, it essentially gives you many more details, such as what are the additional benefits that come out of automating this, like, for example, removing manual errors or freeing up these people to do other work, right? So essentially more productivity and things like that. So those are the additional benefits. And what are the additional costs that are involved in automating, even that is taken into consideration so that it is subtracted from the overall savings, such as your bot runner environment. That is how much is going to cost me to host this runner through the year, right? And any license costs that are involved. So if you need Excel to automate something, then the service account for Excel is an additional license. So that is something that needs to be taken into consideration. So like this, essentially, it takes into consideration all the financial metrics of that specific automation idea or automation opportunity, and then allows you to take it through different stages within the CEO Manager itself. Right? So I'll actually show you this in a quick bit. And then it also helps you then to stack rank against other opportunities. So maybe you have multiple opportunities, multiple ideas to be automated, and all of these are waiting for you to say that, okay, which among these 10 do I need to automate because it has the best impact, or it has the highest savings, or whatever it is most aligned to our strategic objectives, right? So essentially, it allows you to stack rank it in a very visually appealing way. That is, we have something called a bubble chart, and I'll show you this, where it helps you to go and stack rank it and then push it finally to production and assign a developer and get it in production. Right. So I'll just skip this one so I can directly go into the demo itself. Okay, so let me just jump into the demo, right? So let me just share my screen. Give me a minute. Meanwhile, Eric, do you want to talk about your experience with CEO Manager while I just bring up the browsers I closed?
Sure. Yeah, we and I prepared a couple slides to talk through it in more detail, but
Okay.
I think it was like mid 2023 is when we first added CUI Manager to our licensing, and that's when we started the transition. So 2018 is when we first started working with Automation Anywhere, and we were using spreadsheets, I think like a lot of people, to track all of our bot inventory stuff. And anyway, it was pretty messy. So I'll talk later, but like in our transition to using CUI Manager for our team, there was some prep work that we had to do leading into it to make sure that all of the process data that we're tracking for all of our different automations was able to import successfully into CUI Manager. So basically, like tweaking some of the different fields that we were tracking so that it was able to to speak CUE manager terms, like with the different like system fields. So anyway, the whole initiative, um, it really helped us standardize a lot around our intake, as far as like the types of questions we were asking to lock in the hard savings. And there are some unexpected benefits that we got through the initiative. So one of the things that like we were first looking into is how can we how can we use this tool to track the benefits that we're realizing across the platform. And those benefits we're starting just very basic, but tracking the hard savings, like how many hours or dollars saved are we returning. So once we imported everything into this tool, it's really easy to map into the actual bots that are running on the platform. And then it's kind of like a one-time setup. And now when someone asks me like, hey, can you give us how many hours did you guys return last quarter, last year? I'm not freaking out like I was before. Like I don't have to do all this like manual math or like downloading and then doing math. I could just go to CUE Manager, pull the numbers that people are asking for, and give it to them.
Thanks, Eric. Okay, you're gonna go into the slides then. You can move the demo to the last. Eric, you went off of mute.
Oh, my bad. Was that for me to go to my slides?
Yeah. So go ahead with your slides, yes. And I'll
Okay,
I'll
okay.
follow with I'll follow that with the demo.
All right. Cool. Yeah, so this is our journey. I mentioned that back in 2023 is when we first started to really like strategize and think about transitioning over to CUE Manager. So everything on the left is where we were. That was the dark period for our program, like a lot of manually intensive work to clean up the data. Really didn't have there was wiggle room for process owners to give us information about their metrics. And it really was a bad experience for people who are trying to consume um, the benefits that we're realizing with these automations. So end of 2023 is when we first started to move over into here, and that first started with us um, going into CUE Manager, and there's an option in there where you can do bulk import or bulk export of the opportunities that are listed in CUE Manager. So that was actually the first thing that we did, is that we created like a test opportunity in CUE Manager. We exported it to see what are all the different system fields, sort of to give us the template on how we needed to adjust our parameters before doing the import. And then once we did that, we're able to import all of our processes into CUE Manager. The next thing that we had to do is we had to secure the platform. So there's SSO authentication that we're able to set up in there. And then there's also a thing which Arun will probably connect the dots when he does his demo, but there's a way that you can customize the way that the different business areas and opportunities are displayed and organized. So for us, we we automate across almost 10 different business areas in the company. And we want to be able to organize our work the same way that we would in like CI/CD pipe or within the control room itself. We just set up that same structure in CUE Manager. The other thing that we did is, because we knew we had plans to expand this from beyond our team to other application teams in hyperautomation, whether that's like iPaaS, like a business process orchestration, things like that. Anything where you wanted to measure hard savings, we wanted to be able to create a scalable work stream hierarchy within CUE Manager so that we can easily expand to other teams. And then the third thing is we the for a couple months we actually did separate calls with our business and process owners to review each of their initiatives, and we wanted to make sure like for sure we should have done this more frequently, these types of conversations with business, but it was actually a good opportunity for us to meet with them, ask them like, hey, is this thing still delivering this much value? And for some of the bots which have been running since 2018, like 2019, a lot of times the answer was like, no, it's actually delivering this much more value, or yes, it is. Can we automate this other part of the business work stream? So anyway, a lot of good stuff came out of those conversations, and um, 2024 we officially finished all those conversations, started using Suite Manager to track all of our data for our team, and doing that we actually became, and I know it's like super basic stuff, just tracking the value realized, forecasted versus actual benefits returned. But even starting off super basic there, we kind of became like the leaders in our group in terms of how we're able to capture the value and then communicate the value. And in doing that, like it did build up some good momentum with our team, good visibility. Like we were able to publish an article in our technology newsletter, where we're able to say like, hey, this is what our team did. This is the impact. This is the next steps. Um, and anyway, it did, like the tune of our team, it did change, like in town halls or different like forums like that. People started name dropping our team. So anyway, that was a really cool output. So where we're going next is our plan to continue to onboard other technology teams. So we are paying for just the Seaway Manager base version. There's a plus version which has a lot more out of the box integration capabilities within it. But even with the base version, like we've been getting a lot of help from Arun's team, from the SMEs at AA, to see how we can make the base work for us. So we've been able to decouple, like one of the great things about Seaway Manager is you can easily map to your bot that's running in the control room. But we were able to decouple that component, and in that other technology teams, they can just, instead of us having a one-to-one bot mapping to say a process which is running in iPaaS, we can give them the API information for them to push execution data directly into Seaway Manager. So that gives us options. So other technology teams, if they want to start tracking their hard savings, we just have to create the initial setup for the opportunity, and then they can either push the execution data into there, or we have options if we want to run something in batch and go through the metadata and those other technologies and just have it push all the execution data into our system. We could do that. So our next goal going forward is to make Seaway Manager our default tool for program lifecycle management within our organization, and then to like continue to be the leaders in this capability in terms of like value realization. I have one more slide that's going through the like unexpected learnings and accomplishments, but I can pause here if there's any questions. I don't see any in the chat. Anyway, if you think of a question, put it in there. So this is my last slide. It's just our unexpected learnings and accomplishments. So the first one is, I mentioned we did all of those calls with our business partners. That was actually a great opportunity for us to use the AIM framework. So this is a framework that these AA guys came out with last year, and it's pretty great in terms of it's kind of just like a one slider, but you get the entire picture of the business process as well as the solution process, and kind of some one-liners on like what's the impact. So that was great to go through that, because we were able to capture a lot more outside of hard savings. We were able to see like the improvement that this had on colleague platform experience. We were able to see the impact that this had in terms of like risk mitigation or compliance, because we're able to have an automation, maybe submit like some kind of a tax process to a government website. And because the automation was doing it, it was doing it on time, and there was less of a chance of human error. So that great opportunity to kind of go through that AIM framework and have those conversations. The next thing is, and Arun might show this in the demo, but there's a section in Seaway Manager when you first submit an opportunity, there's a few different sections you can fill out in terms of what its impact is. And then there's an objective formula. It's like a system formula that in CRM Manager base, we don't have the ability to change it, but that's fine because this is like miles beyond what we were doing before. So anyway, once you submit an opportunity, it gives you a score from 0 to 100%. And with this feature, we were actually talking to other teams, like our product teams was having a challenge to prioritize a bunch of different enhancements that they had. And they didn't really know where to start. So we worked with them. They did the bulk import of all their enhancements. And through that, we were able to see, like out of those 50 enhancements, where do they rank? So you could use the scoring. You can look at the bubble chart, which is another visual tool that you can use for prioritization. But that was a cool outcome, a cool benefit of this tool. And then the last thing is CRM Manager Plus. It allows you to do a lot more. The dashboards that you get out of the box are great, and we're using those all the time. But with Plus, you're able to customize anything, create your own dashboards. It has a lot more richer integration capabilities to other tools. But anyway, I just want to call out that the product team has been really great to work with, and if there's anything that we're stuck with or anything that we're trying to do, it's been pretty easy to just get on a call with them and knock it out. So let's see. That's all I had. I don't know if there's any questions.
Thanks for the nice words, Eric. Yes, I'm always there to help. All right, so I guess I can start sharing my screen now. Let's dive into a demo. Give me a minute. Great. Okay, do you guys see my screen? Can someone confirm you see my screen?
Yeah, it's up.
Okay, all right. Okay, so yeah, so this is how CRM Manager looks. This is the main dashboard, and this is, although it says CRM Manager Plus, this has not been customized in any manner that Eric was mentioning. So let me take you through how this looks, right? Now, at the outset, you will see that there are multiple charts that show you various data, and essentially, but before actually understanding this main dashboard, you'll have to understand the other sections so that this makes sense to you, right? Okay, so first of all, everything in CRM Manager is tracked in terms of opportunities. So what are opportunities? Opportunities are those that you can collect from your entire organization, your entire company, saying that please submit your automation requests or your work requests, whatever you call it internally, or submit an idea for automation, right? So how do you do that? I'll actually show you this. There's a URL here in the admin advanced tab. You can simply give this URL to your organization, and this is how it will look. So it'll be basically this form, which anybody can fill. This is a self-signed HTTPS URL, so there's no login required, no CRM Manager user login required here. This is simply open up. They can select one of these languages. We support all these languages, and go ahead and submit an idea, and then give more details in a file. So this file could be any file. So something that describes the process, something that has a diagrammatic view of the process, whatever it is, right? So essentially to give more details to the COE team, who will now receive this as an automation idea, right? Now, all these ideas or all these are called opportunities, which are basically collected in the opportunities tab. And you can also add opportunities from here. So that is, if you yourself from the COE team want to add an opportunity, you can add them here. This is the same form as I showed you, the external, it's called an intake form. So the external intake form or the in-table intake form. So one of them, right? Now, all of them begin, all the opportunities start with the stage of ideas. So you can see there are many over here which are in the idea stage. So when you go to the idea stage, what essentially happens here, let me open up any one of them. Now, first, the details that are taken from the idea submitter or the opportunity submitter are these. That is, what are the current costs or the current labor costs? That is, how much of this task can be automated or is automated or is estimated to be automated? Is it measured by times performed or is it by records processed? When we say times performed, now since you guys are automation, since you guys know how bots work, when we say number of times performed, this basically translates to the number of times the bot ran. So which means if the bot ran 20 times, 20 into these in a certain formula will give you the result. That's it. Very straightforward, right? But not all bots can be quantified equally. So maybe one bot is doing 5 tasks while another bot is doing 15 tasks. So how do you quantify them? You cannot say that both of them are the same, right? So that's when this records process come into picture. But if you choose this, then you can actually put a value on each of the record that's processed inside the bot. So which means that if the bot has 15 lines of code, let's just take an example, it has 15 lines of code. And in that 15 lines of code, maybe lines 3 to 5 are one task, like that is, for example, open SAP, update report, close SAP, for example, right? So that's actually one task or one record. So that can be clubbed into one and counted as one record here on the same Azure, right? And so on. So you can do the same thing multiple times for multiple records within the same Azure, within the bot itself, right? Now, once these details are keyed in, now let me actually put some details here. So let's say, we'll say 70% of the task can be automated. The number of people who are doing it today is say 3 people. The number of hours they work on this each day, say, is 5 hours. The number of times per month, say 22 working days. And their average hourly pay is say $25, right? So when I save this, you will see these numbers change over here on the top, right? So just pay attention. Okay, so you see that expected manual savings is 69,000 and this is a yearly value, right? Now, this is something that is estimated based on a calculation from what I just entered, right? Now, in addition to this detail, which is what is taken from the idea submitter, the COE team, who is more aware of how to go and actually automate this, they will actually see many more details. That is, what are the additional benefits, such as what are the risks avoided, customer satisfaction, is there any new revenue that was enabled, any improvement in productivity, tons of CO2 reduced, or you can actually go and customize these questions and add a value on these. So I can change this to say 10,000 and productivity, say 5,000. Basically, it's a dollar value that you put on each of these additional benefits that might come in. And any costs that are going on, right? So implementation cost would include your development cost. That is how much it's going to take you to develop this automation, right? So let's say it's going to take you $500 to develop it. And then ongoing cost, which is an annual value for the operational aspect of running this automation, which is your bot runner cost, the bot runner license, any other licenses that you need for the third-party software that you need to run the bot on, etc., things like that. So I'll just say $1,000, right? So when I save this, you can see that these are updated. Actually, there were values before this also, but you can see that the additional savings and cost has been added here, while expected savings is basically a sum of these two, right? Now, further, in addition to that, there's also something called complexity and alignment. Now, again, these prompts that are here can be customized by you folks, not just by the Plus customers, but also in the base version, you can customize this, and I'll show you how that's done. So here, basically, this is going to put a value of degree on complexity and alignment as per these out-of-the-box prompts, right? Or metrics. So when you say integration, degree to which multiple systems are involved, let's say it's medium. Documentation, degree to which there's multiple handoffs and there's not enough documentation, so therefore I say pretty low. Rules-based, is it rule-based? That is it rule-based? Is it a fixed process or is there many variations? So let me say it's high. Is it sensitive to data? Is there a regulatory impact on this? So let me say just medium. and repeatability. Essentially, is this a repeating task, or is there are there variations within that as well? So I'll say hi. Okay. I save this. So when I save this, I get a complexity score 2 out of 5. So yeah, it was 2 before as well, but it's 2 out of 5. Initially, this would have been empty, right? And then moving on to alignment. Alignment is essentially how well aligned this automation is to your company strategic goals. So essentially here also I put in appropriate values. And when I save this, I'll get an alignment score and an overall score. So this is essentially 74% in terms of a stack rank, which we'll see how that gets helpful, right? Now, let me go back to the main dashboard. Right? So okay, so in the idea, so this account reconciliation is the one that I was working on all this time. So I'm going to move this to the pipeline stage. So I go back inside and I go to the workflow and I approve this to move to the pipeline stage, so to the next stage, right? So I say advance it to pipeline. So in idea stage is when it's initially come in as an idea, and you're simply assessing it against other. You're simply putting more details before the assessment begins. In the pipeline is when you actually start assessing it. That is you compare it to the other opportunities and basically go and check where this stands, right? So going back, when I go to the pipeline stage, here you will see this bubble chart that Eric was also talking about earlier. And this bubble chart is basically a chart which basically charts complexity score on the y-axis versus percentage alignment. So essentially, this means that each of the opportunities that are there in the pipeline stage will essentially show here as a bubble, right? Now, where they get plotted is completely depends on the alignment score that you gave and the complexity score that you gave by all those settings that you just did, right? Now, ideally, the one that is the best candidate to go and automate first, that is to push it to the next stage, which is the in progress stage, would be the one that is at the right hand top corner, because these are the ones which are the least complex to build or implement, and the most aligned to your company's strategic goals. So this would be your most ideal candidate. And among them also, the bigger the circle or the bigger the bubble, that is the larger the net savings. So essentially, that's how you figure out which is the next best candidate to go and automate. Now, ideally, or rather traditionally, we used to look at a table like this to go and stack rank against and go and choose which is the next best candidate. But here you have a visual representation where it's like a no-brainer. You just look at, okay, this is probably my next best candidate to go on. So let me just proceed with that and push it to the next stage of getting it built, right? So let me go to the accounts payable for now. I'm working on, and I'll go to the workflow again and I'll advance it to the next stage, which is your in progress stage. So I approve it. So now it's in the in progress stage. So if I go to the in progress, you'll see a bunch of dashboards there. I'm not going deep into each of the dashboards, but each of the cards, but essentially clicking on any of them, you will actually get a lot of details. So for example, if I click on this, you can get a business unit wise breakdown. If I click on HR, for example, you'll see each of them, and I can click on one of them, and that will take me directly into that specific opportunity, and I can go and see the details there, right? So I'm not going into that detail at the moment. So the in progress, so this account reconciliation is the one that I pushed here. That is this. So here there's many other things that you can do. That is, you can go and start adding activities. So this is not to replace Jira as such, but you have project management ability as well here within the CEO Manager, where you can essentially go and add different stages of this opportunity going from idea to getting deployed into production, right? Now, in my roadmap, I have the feature that we will integrate this Gantt chart directly into your Jira. So therefore, if you have this project being tracked in your Jira, then we can automatically sync between Jira and here, so that you don't have to keep a manual tab within this space, and automatically it will get synced, and just coming here, you should be able to come and see what each of these things are. So you can click on this and you can see the details inside. Okay. Then moving on, after this, I'll move it to the deployed stage. Now, deployed is where it's actually in production, right? So in progress is where it's getting built. Now, this version that I'm showing you is version 34, where you don't see many details here, but then in version 35, which is getting released probably by the end of this week, you will see a much more rich UI here, which has a lot of mandatory items that you need, mandatory details that you will need to key in before you push them through the stages, right? So that there's nothing missed. Right now, as you can see, I'm just clicking for submit for approval, and it's moving on to the next stage. But that would not be possible in the version 35. You'll have to go and key in all the details. Now, if you don't key in all those details, essentially what happens is that you'll not be able to see these values properly. That is the forecasted savings, the benefit realized. You won't be able to see these properly because many details would have been missing in there. Right? Okay, so when you push it to the deployed stage, you see this execution tracking tab. So here is where you go and map this opportunity to an actual automation or a set of automations running on your control. So here in this automation section, you basically come here and add which automation it is. So you give it a name, say, I'll just say test, create, and then inside this, you come and create, you come and link an automation. So automation environment, which control room you have, that specific control room, and automation ID, give it an automation ID. That is the actual bot ID, the numeric ID that you can see in your control room. When you open that bot, you will see in the URL, the bot ID, you can put that here and that should do. Right? So here, there's one here already, which is like this, right? So this is just a sample. Now, once you have that in place, for each of the bots you've added, you'll start, what will happen is if you are, you'll start seeing data coming in. Now, if you have a cloud control room, we automatically go and fetch the data every 4 hours once. So every 4 hours once, we fetch the data, that is execution data for that bot or for the records. We fetch it for the current day plus the previous day, 24 hours. And this is done so that in case there's any network lag or API issues, API call issues, then any missing data can be filled in, right? And we take care of the duplication on our side. So therefore, you don't see any duplicate information. And all this is timestamp based. Sorry, was there a... Okay. Yeah, so all this is timestamp based. So therefore, it's very easy to figure out duplication issues, right? And here you basically start seeing the number of bot runs or records that are being processed by that bot on the control room. Now, for example, in this demo system, I'm seeing that the number of successful executions in the month of October was 4,000 executions. So what will happen is it'll take 4,000 and then it'll multiply that into the process costs that were input, and then you therefore get your benefit realized. That is, number of successful executions is 4,000. Therefore, the benefit realized is 7,000 as a result of those 4,000 executions, right? And in addition to that, you can also track failed executions. So if you have failed executions, that is, if your bot run failed, for example, or a part of the bot run failed, right? What does that entail? It needs one of you to go and check why the bot run got failed. That is, you need to log into the system. You'll need to reboot it. You'll need to reset it. You'll have to go and fix errors, whatever that is. So what is that cost of fixing a failed transaction or a failed bot run? So let's say I'll put it as, say, $200. That's an average, right? So I'll save it. Now, when I save this, so as you can see, there are failed executions 32 during the month of October, right? So now the details would have changed, which is, okay, it's not yet updated. Okay, it'll take a bit to update, but yeah, so that's essentially how it works. That is, this number will go down by that number. That is, 32 will get multiplied into 200, and that is essentially subtracted from this value, so that you can say that that is the amount of benefit realization. That's the net benefit realization after all the failed execution costs and whatever costs that are involved, essentially, right? Okay, so this is essentially how you track any opportunity in the CM Manager. Now with the 35 release, which is imminent, we have the option now to track the 4 different kinds of automation. That is your regular task bots, API tasks, document automation, and WLM or queue automation. And you can stitch all of them together in a regular end-to-end process automation also. So that each process is basically has components of these other automation types. So the end-to-end process can essentially be tracked within CM Manager, and you can actually view a process tree, and you'll be able to see which part of the process is giving how much of returns. And you can have different financial metrics or labor metrics for each of the process. Meaning, if it's a process for payroll, for example, and I'm just taking a generic example here, there'll be HR involved, there'll be finance involved, and there'll be auditing people involved, right? So this stitches into an end-to-end process. Obviously, the number of people working within these departments and their average hourly pay and the frequency of working on this will differ, right? So you'll need to capture that granularity. So therefore, that is what you'll be able to do within a process view, right? Now, there's one other thing that I'd like to show is in the admin program tab, there are many other things you can set, which is you can set your currency symbol. It does not have to be dollars. We have customers from all over the world. And do you want to measure everything in terms of currency, or do you want to measure it in terms of hours? That is how many hours were saved rather than how much of currency was saved, right? So you can do that. When you click on this, all the values, let me actually show you that. You click on this, all the values change on the dashboard. So everything becomes hours, right? So all these were dollars before, but they were not now all hours. And then there's one other thing let me show you. So those complexity and alignment questions that I was talking about, you can come and change them here. So basically, you can come and edit this and then change what is the weightage that you want to give for each of them. So if you say low complexity and the weightage is 20, then accordingly the calculation there for the complexity score will automatically change, right? And similarly for the alignment questions as well, you can come and edit these and add any kind you need, right? So essentially that's how CM Manager works, and I'll be happy to take any questions. Are there any questions in the chat? Okay, so all right, so we'll wait for questions, but Lou, back to you.
Looks like there's a couple questions in the Ask the Speaker channel.
Oh, there was?
Yeah, I'm coming here to read some of these off. So let's start with Maria Lewis. Are you able to track multiple metrics for a single process? For instance, we have a bot that has a cost savings for every transaction the bot performs. In this instance, could COE Manager track time savings and cost savings?
Yes, it's fine. So like I said earlier, when it comes to, and this is something that you can see in the version 35, is basically you'll be able to track the different parts of a process differently. That is the labor metrics that I showed you. That is the amount of the percentage of tasks that can be automated, the hourly wage, the number of times it's performed, and the frequency it's performed at. All these can be differently. It may set differently for the different parts of your process, and then that then gets consolidated to your overall process view. I hope that helps answer the question.
Perfect. And then Kenneth says, when you worked with your other IT teams to bulk import their enhancement, were those enhancements for Automation Anywhere work, or was it outside of AA where the enhancements would take place?
So these were outside of AA. They were just kind of generic enhancements that hadn't been classified yet for what kind of solution would be made for them. So some of them eventually did come to the automation team, but some of them were just kind of like process re-engineering efforts. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, we did the bulk import for the enhancements. It was it was outside of AA, just sort of generic backlogging for product team.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric. Jesse asks, does integration also include Azure or ServiceNow capability?
ServiceNow, yes. Azure, we don't support out of the box, but it is possible to integrate it because, okay, I'm presuming it is Azure DevOps. So, and that integration is very similar to Jira or ServiceNow. Jira and ServiceNow is what we offer out of the box. So, you should be able to integrate that by yourself. So there are guides on how you can do that, and essentially you can go about doing this. This is, of course, it's only going to be possible on the CM Manager Plus version. So please take note of that. The CM Manager base version allows you to integrate only with 3 specific automation network control rooms, but there is no limit to the number of control rooms nor the number of vendors you can integrate to with CM Manager Plus.
Thank you. And then Maria also asks, if a bot is looping through records, how is COE Manager able to track the number of records completed?
Yeah, so Maria, there is this concept of the, I mean, you might be aware there's the analyze, open, and close actions that are there in this, in the A360 control room, right? So what you do is when you have a loop that is, say, say line 5 is loop start, and then 6 through 10 is inside the loop, right? Now you want to count that loop as one record, let's say. That means if the loop runs 10 times, then you want to count it as 10 records. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to put this analyze open just before the loop and before the loops line, that is line number 4, and analyze close just after the end of the loop. So then essentially what happens is the analyze open close block is counted as one record. Now, when you do that, when the loop runs 10 times, then that block is counted 10 times as 10 records. Essentially, that's how it works.
Thank you. Another question, is this something available in Automation Anywhere already, or something you had to build or customize to get so much detail?
No, whatever I showed you on the demo is what you get out of the box. You get it as a default. If you have the CM Manager Plus variant, then you can go and customize all that view and all those charts by yourself to any extent possible. That is, for example, there were 4 stages that I showed you: idea, pipeline, in progress, and deployed, right? Now, let's say you want to add a 5th stage. That is, after in progress, you want to add a UAT, for example, right? We have one customer who did that. So you can go and add a new stage in between, or any of the charts that you want to, if you want to modify the charts, then you can go and modify the charts. You can create a new dashboard altogether. All this is possible. But whatever I showed you is what you get out of the box when you purchase the CM Manager license.
Okay, and then we have one more question. How can I display the accumulated savings from multiple Automation Anywhere tasks within the same folder or project? Additionally, if my tasks involve calling VBS, Python, or similar scripts to process LAN items, how should I handle that?
Okay, Isaac. Okay, first part of it. So when you have multiple tasks within the same folder or project, or essentially, okay, I'm presuming same automation, then you can, when I showed you how to map the bots to an opportunity, right? That is, you add the bot ID into the opportunity under the automation section. There you can add multiple bots. So all of them can go into that same opportunity, and all of them can therefore get tracked under the same opportunity, right? But the downside to that is that you'll then have to count the financial value of all those automations equal, meaning to say that because each opportunity captures one set of labor costs, that is, what is the hourly pay for these people who are doing it today and how frequently they're doing it, etc. So that is fixed for all the automations that are there within that opportunity. But if that's still okay for you, then yes, you can go and map all of them. Then all of those automations or all of those bots can get counted under that opportunity, and they will simply go and get accumulated under that dashboard, right? So that's one part of your question. Second is, if your tasks involve calling VBS, Python, or similar scripts, how do you handle that? Okay, so as long as you define within the bot how you define the records, like I was telling Maria earlier. That is, if you define the calling a VBA script or a Python script as one record or n records, right? How many records you want to call them out? That needs to be configured accordingly in your they need to be scripted accordingly in your bot, and that needs to then once it's scripted accordingly using the analyze open close, it'll automatically start getting counted appropriately on the CML registry. So it's all about how you use the analyze open close.
Okay, and
Yeah,
then
seeing Maria's question. So are there courses? Yes. Yeah. Yes. So yes, there are courses. They are getting released by the end of this month, and that will include, Isaac, also a very in detail course on how to use the analyze open close, so that it helps basically on how you can, helps you understand how to use this analyze open close block to define your record blocks essentially.
great. Thank you guys, everyone for joining, for your patience in the beginning, and we will see you at the other sessions. Make sure to join the community if you're not a member already, and we will see you there. Have a good day, everyone.